Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for being here. Today I'm going to be doing a full face of E.L.F. cosmetics. I wanted to do a full face of E.L.F. because I do have a lot of older favorites and I have been testing some of their newer releases off camera. So let's go ahead and dive in. They did reformulate their lip exfoliator, which I did go ahead and exfoliate my lips off camera, but this is in their coffee scent. I'm not sure what other scents they came out with, but this one smells like a mocha coffee scent. A little bit artificial, like it doesn't actually smell like coffee in my opinion, but it does smell pretty good. But I do feel like this is an improvement. Even though I did already like their lip exfoliator, I feel like this one does an even better job at exfoliating my lips. So I did go ahead and do this already. I also picked up two of their new Squeeze Me lip balms. So I have on the grape scent right now, and it does smell like a grape popsicle or like a grape lollipop. It smells really good. I think this is my favorite one out of the two that I picked up, but it does have like a really light pinky berry tint to it. But overall, I would say it is pretty sheer. It does a really good job at moisturizing my lips, so I have been enjoying these. And I also picked up the strawberry scent, which let me find that really quick. Okay, so here is the strawberry one. And this one has a little bit of a lighter, warm tint to it. But again, these are very sheer. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily pigmented. They just have a very slight tint. I would say these are not a dupe for the Laneige Glowy Lip Balm. And I've only ever owned one of those a few years ago, and I just remember it being more gel-like. Definitely not dupes in my opinion, but I still really like them. They're very moisturizing, very thick, so you really have to squeeze the tube to get the product out. But really good lip balms. I do recommend them, and I would say just pick up one. I don't think you need more than one of these because they're so sheer. But let's move on to complexion. And actually, let me get my hair out of the way. I forgot to put in my hair clips. So I picked up the new liquid poreless putty primer, and I have been testing this off camera, and so far I've really been enjoying it. I'm still really loving the Power Grip primer plus 4% niacinamide. I'm definitely gonna have to pick up a full size because I'm more than halfway through this mini that I got. Very hydrating and almost like plumping on my skin. It makes my skin look really healthy and like juicy. So yeah, this one is really good. It also extends the wear of my makeup. I still really like the original Poreless Putty Primer and the Acne Fighting Putty Primer. I feel like E.L.F. just makes some really good primers, so I do have quite a few favorites from them, but this is the more liquidy version of the Putty Primer. It's not super mattifying. I would say it leaves more like a satin or natural finish to the skin, but it does do a nice job of blurring my pores. I did wear this to a concert last weekend, and it did such a good job at keeping my makeup in place, and I was pretty sweaty by the end of the night. Everything looked almost the same by the end of the night. Yeah, so it did mattify my skin a little bit, but I don't find it drying at all. And I also like that it helps my smile lines. A lot of foundations do sink into my smile lines, but this primer kind of just like keeps the foundation from settling in. I'm gonna go ahead and let it set for about 30 seconds to a minute, which they actually recommend that you do that. It does say to allow 30 seconds to set before makeup application. And now that the primer is set, I'm gonna go ahead and color correct, which is something that I've been doing consistently for the past few months. Ever since getting these Camo color correctors, I've been color correcting pretty much every single time that I do my makeup. I feel like it really helps me to not use as much foundation and concealer. So I'm gonna apply the green one to my cheeks, a little bit on the sides of my nose as well. And to blend it out, I'm gonna use this Camo concealer sponge. I think that's what it's called. I like that it has a point to it. It just allows for more precision. So I kind of just blend that all over my cheek, and because I'm using a sponge, it does sheer out the product really well, which is what I want, but it still provides some color correction. But see how easily that blended out? I feel like you can really tell a difference. Even though I do have some product on this cheek, you can still see the redness over here. but on this side it looks a lot more like toned down and even. So I've just really been enjoying this green color corrector. And actually, before I apply the peach corrector, I'm gonna go in with the Halo Glow liquid filter. And this is something else that I use every single time that I do my makeup. It's really rare that I use a different product because I like this formula so much. And I do have two shades that I like to mix just because I have both of them. I have the shade 1 Fair and 2 Fair/Light. But I like to apply these kind of like a liquid highlighter / glowy primer. This gives the prettiest glow under my foundation, and because I like this one so much, I rarely reach for my other glowy products like this anymore, which I do need to like rotate through my products more often. But I just love this formula so much because it's lightweight, it's super glowy, and it doesn't mess with my foundation. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend this out with my E.L.F sponge. And I like that this one has a flat side to it. I always use this side to blend this product out. But look how glowy that looks. I guess this is kind of like underpainting. I'm still gonna use a liquid highlighter later on, but I can't go without this product lately. It's just such an easy product to blend. I feel like you don't have to put much thought into it. And I know some people use this as like a tinted moisturizer or like a light foundation, but I don't think I could get away with that because my skin would just look way too shiny and like glowy. So I just like to keep it on the high points of my face wherever I would apply a highlighter. So yeah, let's go back to the peach corrector. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this to my under eyes, and I just like applying the tiniest bit. I don't feel like I need a lot with this product. I do wish they had a lighter shade of this. I'm not sure that they do though. I thought this was the lightest one, but I'm gonna have to double check. Even though it does do a really good job at color correcting, sometimes I feel like if I use too much, it can look a little obvious. So if I had a shade just a little bit lighter, I feel like it would look even better on my under eyes, but this one works really well for me. It would just be nice to have a slightly lighter shade. Okay, for foundation, I have the Camo CC cream in the shade Light 240W, and this has a lot of coverage, so I'm gonna go in with a little bit. I feel like my mistake whenever I've used this product in the past is using way too much. A full pump is way too much product in my opinion, so I'm gonna try to do half a pump of this. And I don't love this, by the way. I have been close to decluttering it, and I think I might declutter it eventually. I don't know why, I just haven't been able to get rid of it. I keep wanting it to work for me, but it tends to look pretty heavy on the skin. It just doesn't wear the best. So yeah, not my favorite foundation. I feel like I can get it to work sometimes, but most of the time it looks very heavy and drying, and it doesn't dry down too quickly, so I feel like I do have enough time to blend it out. And right now it looks pretty good, just like a little bit drying. So far I feel like it's not looking as cakey as it did the last time that I wore this, which was yesterday when I was trying out some of these products. I was trying to like prep for today's video. I think I just used less product today. So yeah, I have kind of like a love-hate relationship with this CC cream. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks terrible, and today it looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and tap this out with my sponge just to get some excess product off. The sides of my nose look a little bit cakey, but compared to other times that I've worn this, it definitely looks better. And I do have some product left over that was like a quarter of a pump, I would say, that I ended up using in total. So not bad. I'm still gonna keep this for now, but like I said, I think eventually I will probably end up decluttering it because it's so finicky. Let's go in with concealer now. I do have the Hydrating Camo Concealer, which I picked up recently. I did declutter this during my makeup declutter series a few months ago, but I ended up picking up a new one. The one that I had was expired, but I wish I would have gotten a shade lighter than this. This is just a little bit too deep for me, maybe like 1 to 2 shades. I can make it work, especially if I mix it with a lighter concealer, which is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna mix it with the Flawless Brightening Concealer, which is not my favorite on its own. It's just okay. Sometimes I feel like it looks a little bit drying, but paired with this one, which I did try yesterday, I feel like it looked pretty good. So I'm gonna apply the Hydrating Camo one first, and this is in the shade Light Beige, which I was pretty surprised at how the shade looked. I feel like this looks deeper than what I remember, but this has really good coverage. And the Flawless Brightening Concealer I have in the shade Light 26N, so I'm gonna apply this right over top and just blending that out with my sponge. I don't remember how well this concealer wears, but it has such good coverage and it blends out really easily. I do prefer it on its own, not paired with the Flawless Brightening Concealer, but again, the shade is just too deep for me on its own, so I'm definitely gonna have to pick up a lighter shade of this. I just have so many concealers that I'm trying to work through right now that I am gonna hold off for a little bit. Next, I'm gonna go in with the Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour in the shade Light Medium. I'm not completely sold yet on the Halo Glow Beauty Wands in general, and this one, the shade is just not a contour shade for me. I was expecting this to be more like neutral or a little bit cool toned, but it ends up looking pretty warm on my skin once I blend it out. Yeah, see how warm that looks? I was just expecting a more cooler toned shade because it's supposed to be a contour wand. I do have an issue sometimes where it looks a little bit patchy if I'm not careful or if I don't blend it out like perfectly. So yeah, just not completely sold on this one. I wouldn't say it's a fail, but not something that I would recommend you guys go out and try. And I'm gonna use my E.L.F Complexion Duo Brush to blend this out. It dries down, I guess, a little bit quickly, so I try to work quickly with this product. Maybe I should just do like 1/2 of my face first to be safe, but I forgot. Okay, so I think that's blended out pretty well. But even then, I feel like it just looks a little bit patchy on my cheeks. I can like kind of make it work, but I would rather not use this product if I don't have to. Okay, let's go in with blush. And I did pick up 3 of the Halo Glow Beauty Wand blushes. And I haven't been loving these. I can make them work sometimes, but they're a little bit tricky to work with because they do dry down so quickly. And they also have a really like metallic finish to them. I was gonna say glowy, but they border on looking like a highlighter, which I thought I was gonna like, but it can look a little bit unflattering on my skin. So I'm gonna try to make these work today. But let's go in with the shade Magic Hour. I would say this is my favorite one because it does look like a bronzy blush shade. I'm gonna apply this one first, and maybe I'll go in with a lighter one on top, maybe Candlelit. Yeah, let's just see. But look how fast that dries. I feel like I barely have enough time to blend it out. I could apply a little bit more, but that's when it starts looking really, really unflattering because of how shiny it is. I wish I had a little bit more time to blend, and maybe if they would have been like a satin finish as opposed to a like highlighter finish, I would like these more. And let's go in with Candlelit right over top. And I think I have tried blending these out with a sponge, but I didn't like the way that they looked. I just like the way a brush blends them out better. So I do have two of the highlighter shades. I have Champagne Campaign, which is this one, and this is the one I'm going to use today. And I also have Rose Quartz. This one is too deep for me. It's a really pretty pinky highlighter shade, but it just looks off on my skin tone. I almost feel like it's too cool tone for me as well, so I'm gonna have to pass this one along. This highlighter dries really quickly as well, so I'm gonna work fast. And this one I'm gonna blend out with my sponge. So just a tiny bit because it is very pigmented. Yeah, that is very, very glowy. So my overall thoughts on the Halo Glow Beauty ones, I don't think you need to run out and buy them. They're not terrible products, but they're very finicky. You definitely have to work quickly, and I'm just not a fan of the contour shade because it's not actually a contour shade in my opinion. The blushes just don't look very flattering, especially if you have any sort of texture on your skin, which all of us do, or most of us at least. And the highlighters, I think they're just okay. I'm just not a big fan of liquid highlighters to begin with. I prefer something like the Halo Glow Liquid Filters as like an underpainting highlighter. I'm gonna go ahead and set my under eyes with a powder that I've been loving, and it's actually not a new product. I saw that Julia Adams was using it and raving about it, so I did go ahead and pick it up. This is the Prime and Stay Finishing Powder in the shade Fair/Light, and I use this only on my under eyes. It's really smoothing, a little bit brightening because it is a lighter shade, but it just does something for my under eyes. It makes my concealer last all day long. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my under eyes because it is a brightening shade, so I don't want this all over my face. And I know it's technically a finishing powder, but it works so well for setting concealer. Yeah, I love this powder. Super affordable, by the way. I'm pretty sure this is less than $5. I don't feel like enough people talk about it, so thank you to Julia Adams for raving about it in her videos, because or else I wouldn't have picked it up because I didn't even know about it. But for the rest of my face, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Halo Glow setting powder. I'm gonna use the shade Medium, which I have been using all over my face. I used to use the shade Light, but I felt like it looked a little bit too light on my skin, so the shade Medium has been working for me really well. But this is a really good setting powder. It has a bit of a glow to it, but it does a good job at setting my foundation. So just setting my entire face with that. I could probably mix the shades Light and Medium, but right now I feel like Medium works really well for me. And even though this powder does have a slight glow to it, it doesn't make me super shiny throughout the day. It gives kind of like a soft focus effect. Let's move on to eyeshadow. I'm gonna go ahead and prime my lids with the Milani eyeshadow primer. And I took a break from using this because this is all I used for the longest time. I don't have a primer from E.L.F, so I'm just gonna use this today. But this is a really good drugstore eyeshadow primer and just a really good primer in general. Okay, so for eyeshadow, I'm gonna be using 3 of my bite-sized eyeshadow palettes because I'm gonna be doing a warm bronzy eye look, and I felt like the shades in here would work really well for that. So these 2 are from the Psychedelic Dreams collection, which was limited edition. I think you can still get these on the Walmart website, but I didn't see them on E.L.F's website anymore. These are pretty color stories, but they're not something that I normally go for, but I do like the mattes in here especially. This one is called Hey Sunshine, which is a yellowy palette. And then this is a Psychedelic Dreams. And then my favorite bite-sized eyeshadow palette in my collection is Pumpkin Pie. I could probably use just this one, but I wanted to incorporate some warmer tones. But let's go ahead and start with this shade from the Psychedelic Dreams palette. So just blending that into the crease. This is a really good blending brush for when you're trying to do like a quick look. I'm gonna take this one next from the Haze Sunshine palette, but I'm gonna focus that on the outer corners and blending it into the crease. And then from the Pumpkin Pie palette, I'm gonna take this matte shade and go right over top onto the outer corners. I'm like slowly building up all of these shades, kind of like layering. Just taking that fluffy blending brush and blending out the crease. And then taking this one from the Pumpkin Pie palette. This is a deeper, almost cool toned brown shade. But I'm gonna take that and apply it right onto the outer corners. I like the mix of warmer tones and a little bit of a cooler toned brown shade. I'm gonna layer both of the shimmers from the Pumpkin Pie palette, but I'm gonna take this one first. I like the way these look layered together for some reason. This one is more warm toned, so I like balancing it out with the other one, which is more neutral. And then right over top with the other shade. I'm gonna line my upper lash line with this deeper shade from the Haze Sunshine palette. And then for my lower lash line, I'm just gonna start with this shade from the Haze Sunshine palette, and I'm just blending that out. And then taking this one from the Psychedelic Dreams palette and using it to buff out the other shade. And then just adding a little bit of this one from the Pumpkin Pie palette, and I'm focusing that on the outer half and dragging it about halfway. And also taking some of the cooler toned brown shade from that palette. And just for like a pop, I'm gonna take the shimmers that I used on the lid and just apply them like on the inner half of my lower lash line. So starting with that first one. I don't know why, but I just like doing this with shimmers. And then going over top of it with the second shimmer. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then for my inner corner, I think I'm gonna take this one from the Psychedelic Dreams palette. It's a really light shimmery shade. So I'm gonna fill in my brows with the Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. I love this brow pencil because it's not too creamy. It has a little bit of waxiness, so it doesn't apply too pigmented. And then to set my brows, I'm gonna take my usual Wow Brow. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera, and I'll come back to finish up the rest of the face. Okay, brows are done. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more bronzer. So I'm gonna take the Primer-Infused bronzer in the shade Forever Sunkissed. This is such a good powder bronzer. It blends really easily. It's the perfect shade, very like neutral. And especially since I'm not a huge fan of that contour wand, I want to add like an actual bronzer over top. I feel like the blush disappeared, and now that I'm looking at my skin, maybe it looks more pigmented on camera, but in my mirror, it almost looks like I don't have any blush. It just looks really shiny. I wish I had a powder blush to go over top of it, but unfortunately I don't. I do really want to try the Primer-Infused blushes, so I might have to pick one up soon. I don't know if this is available anymore, but this is the only setting spray from E.L.F that I have. This is the Game Up Shield Me Setting Mist, and I actually really like this. I wish they would have made it permanent, or maybe they do have this already, just not in this packaging, but I love the way that this sets my makeup. This has a really fine mist, so it doesn't feel like you're applying too much setting spray. I'm gonna go in with mascara now. I am gonna layer a couple of mascaras. I do have one from E.L.F though. This is the Lash and Roll mascara. I'm not a fan of this one. I feel like it's clumpy and it just doesn't make my lashes look the way that I want. So I'm gonna go in with this one first, and then I'm gonna layer the CoverGirl Exhibitionist over top to give some more volume. It does kind of curl my lashes, which I like, but it tends to look clumpy after like 2 coats. So going over top of it with CoverGirl Exhibitionist, it makes my lashes look very dramatic, which I love. I'm gonna go in with this lip liner, which they don't make anymore. This is from the Jen Atkin collection. This is the only lip liner from E.L.F. that I have, but this is a like brownie nude lip liner. It's such a pretty shade. And then I'm gonna go over top of it with this O-Face satin lipstick in the shade Drive. This is still the only shade that I have from the O-Face satin lipsticks, but I've been loving this shade. It's my perfect brown nude shade. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit because I am gonna go over top of it with a gloss, tapping it on as opposed to swiping. And I've been loving these lip plumping glosses from E.L.F. I do carry this one in my purse all the time. This is in the shade Praline. I'm just gonna dot a little bit on the center. It's nice and pigmented, but not too much either. And I just really like how comfortable it is on my lips. The plumping sensation does stay for a while, but I really like that feeling, so I don't mind it. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this full face using E.L.F. Cosmetics. I want to do some more one brand tutorials, so let me know in the comments down below what brands you want to see next. Overall, I think E.L.F. has some really, really good products, super affordable, and they are definitely one of my favorite drugstore brands. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!